Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Jay Helms. I'm the founder of this, as I'm going to say, podcast. Well, it is going to be a podcast, movement, summit, what have you. And today I want to introduce you to a special guest, Mr. Garry. It's two R's, right? Garry McIntosh from Operation Underground Railroad. One of the main reasons why we're putting on this summit, and you're listening to this podcast for us to talk about what the heck Operation Underground Railroad is about. And Gary's going to help me out. And we're going to give Garry a little bit of slack because he's brand new to the organization, but we were just chatting about his history a little bit. We're going to get into that because he left a pretty good W-2 job to join this, which means that he's got to be extremely passionate about what he's going on there. So Garry, welcome, sir.
Thank you, man. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, and sorry, I just want to cut you off there, but this is completely unscripted. But this is day one, so we're of the summit, and we're pre-recording this because of several different things. Number one, we had our guest speaker spots completely fill up. I think within like 24 or 48 hours of the email go out. So we want to make sure you guys had a voice in this. You sent me over some marketing material, some video that I'm going to attach to the back of this and be showing out through the entire summit. Because this is really what this is all about, right? Is helping you guys raise awareness and raise money for what you're doing. And so let's dive into what Operation Underground Railroad is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. So Operation Underground Railroad was founded in 2013, founded by a man named Tim Ballard. And Tim has been the face of our organization for a long time. The man travels incessantly to spread the word and raise awareness about children sex slavery. That's why o.u.r. exists. We exist because there are 2 million children in the world right now being sold for sex. And, we right now I can maybe sense some people shifting uncomfortably in their seats, just bringing this topic up.
Honestly, I had chill bumps. I didn't. I mean, there's literally run down my arm thinking about that. That's I want to say amazing. That's also disgusting, right? But it's incredible to think that many kids are tied up into this.
Yeah, it is. Right? And it's crazy. I mean, if you would have spoken to me a year and a half ago, and told me to my face that slavery still exists, I mean, it's something you hear about, and you think it's happening in, third world countries and other places, not here in the U.S., which it is, of course. But a lot of people are finding surprised that 30 to 40% of the cases that we work in Operation Underground Railroad are right here in the U.S.
Wow.
It happens in your community. I mean, there's predators right now online trying to coerce and manipulate youth and teenagers. And we exist to provide law enforcement, provide special agents, provide special projects here in the U.S. and internationally with the tools and the resources that they need to combat human trafficking and children's sex slavery head on. So, Tim Ballard found o.u.r. in 2013. He had at that time about 10 to 12 years experience as a Department of Homeland Security special agent. A few years into his work there, he was asked to join a special task force that was called Internet Crimes Against Children. And in those days, nobody was really doing this. Nobody knew that, this issue was that prevalent. There wasn't funding, there weren't resources in governmental institutions and law enforcement jurisdictions to really combat the issue. So Tim was asked to essentially found this unit within his department in Southern California and start working these cases where kids were getting trafficked over the border in Southern California to and from both into the U.S. and out of the U.S. And he was asked to start working cases and find out who these predators are and find out who these traffickers are. through his experience, there's good laws in place in the U.S., good jurisdictional laws, that are in place because we can't necessarily protect everyone in every country, and every country has their own domain and their own jurisdiction. But the issue specifically with child crimes is that Tim was finding that he knew where kids were getting hurt outside of the U.S., but rightfully so. He couldn't get backing, he couldn't get funded, couldn't get resources to actually protect and go after and protect the children and prosecute those traffickers, even though he knew that those situations were happening. So, this is the short version of this, but throughout this conversation, I'll definitely point everyone towards some more resources so they can really, get the whole story, because it's compelling and it's important. But basically, there was 2 cases in particular that Tim couldn't let go. He couldn't let go. He knew that there were children that were not safe, that needed to be rescued. And he had the wherewithal and the experience to do something about it. So he made a very illogical decision, and he left his pension. He left his job security. He left, all the resources and manpower that the U.S. government holds. And he decided to go out on his own, start a nonprofit, and he received just enough funding just to work these 2 cases, and so there was no sustainability plan beyond that. And they were successful. They rescued over 120 kids between those 2 missions.
Wow!
And that's really how o.u.r. got started. That's really the foundation that Tim set for us. Now we work with operatives all over the world. We're in 25 countries. We're in over 24 states in the U.S., assisting and working with law enforcement. And so we've expanded in that way. But as I mentioned earlier in this conversation, there's still 2 million children out there that need rescuing. And as long as that is the case, o.u.r. will be fighting the fight.
2 million worldwide, right?
That's right.
That's what you said. And 30 to 40% of those are in the U.S.
30 to 40% of the cases we work are actually here
in the U.S., which is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. So you said you guys are in 25 countries. I want to focus on the U.S. for just a little bit, because most of the listener base is going to be U.S. based. Going to be guys like me and you, right? We're trying to provide for our family. We also have young kids. One of the things is we always want to keep our kids safe, right? We were just talking about how I got introduced to you. Asked me before I was recording how I got introduced to you, and it was through Ryan Mickler at o.u.r. Man and his protect, provide, preside mantra. You said you guys are only in 24 states in the U.S. Does that mean that it's only happening in 24 states in the U.S., or associations in those states have found that, oh yeah, we need your help, we're going to bring you in? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the high level answer to your question is absolutely not. It's happening everywhere. It's happening in every community. I get the question all the time, who specifically is at risk? A lot of homeless teens are picked up by traffickers. They're manipulated into, hey, come work with me. I have shelter for you. I have food for you. And all of a sudden, these traffickers they're very crafty. They're very manipulative, and they really prey on the vulnerable. In terms of why is o.u.r. only operating in that number of states, there are excellent law enforcement and special agents in every community combating child crimes. I mean, that's just the reality.
Right.
I don't mean at all to downplay their efforts, and we're grateful for that. We have the flexibility and the mobility to kind of go from here to there, and all we do is we supplement their efforts, right? So we
Gotcha.
we have 5-6 years of experience with our operators. working in the U.S. and overseas. And so we educate them, we provide them with tools and resources that they may not be able to afford. There's murders happening every day on the street. There's rapes happening every day on the street. And so, funding and resources are prioritized accordingly. And what we do is we come alongside those special agents and come alongside those law enforcement, and we supplement what they're already doing. So
Yeah.
That relationship works really well, and it's a mutual relationship.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you say this is happening in every community, and if I'm just like any normal listener, I have probably thought about it, but it never really has hit home that this could be happening. And when I think of my community, I'm thinking about the 10-mile radius around my house, right? Are you telling me that with some uncertainty, or with some certainty, that this is going on within 10 miles of my house, or 25 miles radius of my house?
I can, and I'm not trying to be an
Wow.
alarmist. I'm just trying to be a realist.
No, it's good. Man,
And
I've got, like we were talking, I've got young kids. I'm going to start asking you what I should do to help protect them more.
exactly, yeah.
I don't know that
Figured
buying
we were
more guns is the answer, but maybe it is.
yeah. So that's a topic for another day.
Another one. Yeah. Another
Yeah.
conversation. Sure.
But you're going to hear in this video, there's a sergeant who we worked with in the past, and around 2017. And he's going to tell you that every single time he sets up one of these sting operations, in particularly even in small communities, that maybe a few guys are going to come out of the woodwork,
Wow.
and a few guys are going to show up to actually rape children. And unfortunately, it's always many more than that. And it's surprising. It's shocking. I know the average person really can't even maybe go there in their mind as to how there are so many people that participate in this, which is perhaps another topic in this conversation, as to how do people land in such a heinous situation. But yeah, it is prevalent. And what I always encourage folks to do is just know what your kids are doing, know what they're doing on the internet, know what they're doing online, foster those conversations, create transparency, because again, these traffickers are so manipulative, and what they do is they isolate the kids. They have a way of shutting them off from their friends and family. And so they no longer have that source of wisdom and truth and transparency to perhaps get them out of that situation. So I just encourage all the dads and moms out there that could never fathom or imagine, and I pray to God that they never are in that situation. But I encourage them, I implore you just to know what your kids are into, know what they're doing online, and do everything you can to protect them from situations like that.
Do most of the victims, are they first contacted through internet means? I mean, is it through some sort of chat, or website? How do these traffickers, these guys, and you mentioned this, how do they land in that chapter of their life where they say, "Hey, I'm going to be a human trafficker for sex reasons"?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, number one, it pisses me the fuck off. I mean, I just can't fathom. And then there's the other side of me that okay, they've had to have a rough. There's part of me that wants to empathize with them, but I also say, okay, well, if that's my daughter, there is no empathy, right? Or if that's my son, there is no empathy. It just, I can't explain what may or may not happen if I knew a person that was in my circle or in my community was doing this. You know what I'm saying? So I guess really two questions. Number one, what is the biggest leading source for traffickers? Because of me as a parent, if young kids, they're not fully into the internet of things just yet. We're pretty, I wouldn't say we're helicopter parents, but we monitor what they do. And I want to make sure that continues. If that means that they hate us, but they're kept safe, they'll eventually come around and see it was for their good. But the other piece is how do people land in that world, because while rescuing the kids is great, right? That's not the source of the problem. The source of the problem is whatever's driving people to say,
Yeah.
hey, I need that, or I want to be that guy.
Mhm.
So two parts to that question. What is the biggest way these homeless teens and kids in general are getting contacted by traffickers? What are some of the things that we as parents should be looking out for? And number two, um, how do people typically land in that to where they want to be a trafficker?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, we live in a digital age, obviously, and
Yeah.
so
Yep.
there's so much communication happening. There's apps, there's hidden apps. There's a whole dark web that exists out there that you can't access unless you're invited into that. There's a lot of child pornography that gets traded on that dark web. We're grateful for companies, huge tech companies that we've had the chance to consult with and interact with, that are doing things right now to identify, using algorithms to identify child pornography, and finding where it was sourced from, and also obviously eliminating it from their servers. But yeah, a lot of that communication happens, through Messenger, happens through Facebook, happens through what have you. It's a process. It's the technical term for it is grooming, right? And these guys they're very, guys and gals, they're very, very savvy at it. I will share you one story with you. One of the earlier missions that we did, there was an individual who was actually the current beauty queen of that country.
Oh, wow.
And she was literally going house to house and inviting children to be on scholarships to come to beauty school or what have you, and telling the parents that. And turns out that she was actually trafficking these kids
A recruiter.
yeah, exactly. And selling them for sex. And she was using her popularity and her image to do that. So,
I'm locking
child,
my kids up. I mean, we're in this quarantine right now with COVID anyway. They're never leaving the house again.
I know.
I mean, a
I'm
freaking
sorry.
beauty queen is out there
Yeah.
recruit for whatever country that was recruiting
Yeah. Yeah. And so
girls.
you just have to be vigilant. I mean, really, that's the answer, really. I mean, you just have to be vigilant. And, the second part of your question, how do these guys and gals get in these situations? And you alluded to it. Many of them are victims themselves, right? And
Wow.
that's the cycle in their life. The other thing, and this is an unpopular theory, or I don't even want to call it a theory, because we've interviewed hundreds of these predators and traffickers, and we know that this is their story. And it's pornography. It's being introduced to pornography at an early age. And I'm going to stop at 17. I'm going to stop at 15. I'm going to stop at 13. And then all of a sudden I'm buying a plane ticket overseas to, go have sex with a little kid,
Wow.
and that's just the story over and over again. And it's not, I'm not saying, I have no opinion in this conversation about, the morality of pornography and that sort of thing. But I can say that, obviously a small percentage of people who look at pornography end up being these individuals, but that is their story. That's their version of the story of how I got from, adult
Yeah.
pornography to having sex with kids.
And when you say decent individuals, there are probably people listening saying, well, a decent individual wouldn't look at pornography. What you meant by that was, and just correct me if I'm wrong, a decent individual means somebody who can look at pornography and then not decide to go after somebody who's underage or end up being a sex trafficker themselves because they get an easy access to it, right? That's what
Right.
you meant by
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, there's a very small population, obviously, that, and not everybody that looks at pornography obviously it has any intention to hurt a child.
Right.
But there are a small percentage of those who that's their sort of gateway into their sexual addiction. They're addicts.
Yeah.
And
Gotcha.
that's their gateway into it. Yeah.
So let's change topics real quick. You are relatively new to o.u.r,
Yeah.
but you did have a pretty successful W-2 job. I looked you up on LinkedIn, like we were just chatting about that, and you're in Texas. You look like you've been climbing the corporate ladder, which is something that we talk about on the W-2 Capitalist a lot. And then I mean, I'm looking at director of practice management, chief
Mhm,
operating officer,
mhm,
some pretty big titles, right?
mhm,
But eventually, at some point in time, you said, "I I got to go. This is my passion," because you
mhm,
have to be passionate about this in order to leave and be able to go and work with these guys.
mhm.
So tell me a little bit about your story and why you left the W-2 world. And you still might be a W-2, but I'm in the corporate world
I
to
understand. Yeah.
go and focus on this, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The for-profit world for
Right.
sure. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I'll just come clean. I mean, I'm not some kind of big philanthropist, or I don't, I'm not a social activist. I wouldn't consider myself that.
Right.
About a year and a half ago, I stumbled on. This wasn't even recommended to me. I didn't even know anyone else who was sort of in this world. I stumbled across a documentary on Amazon Prime called Operation Toussaint.
Hmm.
And Operation Toussaint is the story of the foundation of o.u.r. And I would encourage. In fact, I'm asking everyone in this audience to please go review that documentary, because it's enlightening, and it's a light in the darkest places of humanity. But that struck me. It struck me. It struck my wife. A few days later, I watched it by myself initially. A few days later, I'm like, my wife Jen, I'm like, you have to watch this. I mean, this is
Yeah.
huge. Again, neither of us. I mean, we've always volunteered in different children's ministries and things like that. So we definitely have a heart for kids. But this particular sort of social nonprofit approach for us is new.
Yeah.
I'd been following o.u.r. for about a year and a half after watching that documentary, and we decided that for our family, we were going to get involved, and so we even did these little hot chocolate stands and
Yeah.
lemonade stands with our
Yeah.
kids. I have 3 kids under 5, and it was a great great approach, great way for us to just raise awareness in the community, and raise a few bucks along the way, which we ended up pushing on to o.u.r. And this opportunity became available in January of this year. So this is a very new decision for us as a family. As was alluded to, I was chief operating officer of a healthcare software company. I've been with that group of owners for almost 9 years. So a
Wow.
huge part of my professional life was spent there. And that was a hard decision. I mean, I'm not
Yep.
saying that, this was all rainbows, but it was the right decision. And I felt like I had a skill set and some experience that could bring some value to o.u.r. and that we could contribute our little piece to rescue these kids. So somebody that I respect a lot in the professional world told me recently that it may feel like you're giving up pay or giving up certain benefits and things like that, but you're actually gaining. You're gaining perspective. You're gaining the ability to impact an important issue in a big way. And so it's opportunities like this that I'm here for. The opportunity
Yeah.
to spread awareness, and shout it from the rooftops, because it's happening, and these kids need light, they need hope, and o.u.r. has been that.
Yeah. And that's number one. I commend you for doing that. I don't, me raising this money, putting on the summit, that's pushing me out of my comfort zone. If somebody approached me with the opportunity that you have, because you and I are on similar paths, right? I've been in the corporate world for we're not going to go there, but I'm a little bit older than you. And I do have 3 kids, 5 and under. So we're on similar paths.
Yeah.
And it looks like our schooling is very similar as well. Again, just referencing your
Yeah.
LinkedIn. And, but so one of the things, especially in the real estate investing world, there's always your radars up for people trying to take advantage of you. There is a well-known, I'm not going to mention him by name, but there's a well-known um, guy who got convicted, or I don't
Yeah.
know if he got convicted. I don't know if it actually came out, but there's enough evidence
Yeah.
that he was raising money and basically to invest. Well, he was investing in his property overseas where he would never have to come back.
Yeah.
So there's always this if when you enter the real estate investing world, you you kind of enter in with your guards up.
Yeah.
Right. You want to make sure nobody's going to take advantage of you. And there are other organizations, charity, that sometimes get a black eye because they've got the wrong leadership in at one point in time or whatnot, and they try
Yeah.
to struggle to come back. So as people are seeing this and they feel called to do something, but that little piece is still tugging on the heart, hey man, this is probably not, and I told you before this, the guy even called me out and said he was questionable about some conference he was going to go, not this one, not the summit, but conference he was going to go to because it was tied to raising money for a charity and all this. What is it that you can say that will help people understand this is not a scam, this is real, this is happening, and not only do you guys need the money to raise awareness, but what you guys do with the money, because there's so much different stuff that you guys do. From not only do you capture the bad guy, you rescue the kids, and then the aftercare program, which I think is in the shadows, but
Yeah.
probably the most important piece, right, is the aftercare program that you guys rehab these kids and get them back to some sort of normalcy if they can ever get there. So let's talk a little bit about how listeners and viewers can understand that this is legitimate. You're a legitimate organization, and that they're not just taking their money and run. Here's where your money goes to. Right.
Yeah. So, first, just some technical groundwork for that question. It's a great question. We're listed as a 501c3, obviously. We have third-party auditors that audit our financials at least annually, and we've done that since inception in 2013. You can find us on nonprofit charity sites that rank and rate different nonprofits, and we have the highest standard available for the age of our nonprofit. You have to reach some certain tenure on some of those rating sites in order to have a certain rating, but we have the highest rating available for any of those. We're an incredibly lean organization. 87 cents on the dollar goes towards rescuing kids and providing aftercare for them. And I'm not even, that's sort of an exclusive data point there, I guess, for this audience. But that actually was one of the compelling things that I found out in my interview process, because I'm sort of in the same. A couple of weeks ago, I was in the same seat as a lot of these folks. Is what's really underneath the marketing and some of the resources that are out there. And so I did my due diligence, obviously, because I wanted to partner with an organization that was vetted and credible. Another thing is that we're not vigilantes. We don't bust down doors and go places that we shouldn't be. We're always invited. We're invited into the jurisdiction, and we work with local law enforcement and special agents. And it doesn't matter if it's domestic or international. And so we act as consultants. We act as informants. We're actually our operatives are on their payroll during that process. And
Gotcha.
We facilitate the collection of evidence in order to prosecute those traffickers. And so it's all on the up and up in that regard. We have very good relationships with these governments that we work with. And as I mentioned, we're always invited there. So I think that's an important note, because you're right. There is a lot of attention on the rescue operations, and we work with former CIA, former Department of Homeland Security, former Navy SEALs, former Force Recon in the Marines, so that these guys are trained to go undercover, and God bless them. It is rough what they do. They have to smile in the face of evil. They have to pretend like a sex addict in order to provide evidence that
well, in the video that I'm going to show after we get through chatting, Tim does a little bit of that, right? In some of these videos.
He does. Yeah, he does. And he was the guy. He was the guy in those first operations I talked about earlier. And I think, so there'll be more on that in the video, particularly the aftercare piece. So you're right. There is a lot of attention on that side, and perhaps less on, and we say that rescuing is only half the mission, right? I mean, aftercare is really important. We will, contrary even to popular belief, sometimes we will not rescue the kid unless we have an aftercare facility that's ready and willing to accept them. And so that's a lot of what we fund now. I mean, we have many, many more kids in aftercare than we've even rescued, because we partner with other organizations and things like that as well, just to make sure that they have the right care. To date, we've rescued 30 over 3,300 individuals from sex trafficking, and we've arrested 1,900. We just reached the 1,900 mark of predators and perpetrators. We've arrested 1,900 of them, again with the assistance of local law enforcement.
Is that just in the U.S. or those numbers just U.S. or that's worldwide?
That's worldwide.
Either way, it's a freaking
amazing
stat, right?
It's powerful, and it's sometimes it takes months to get the evidence you need. So
yeah,
we have concurrent operations, 24/7. And another point I want to mention is that this isn't really your question, but everything going on right now, everyone hunkered down, everyone quarantined. The reality is that these predators and these traffickers have no regard for their commodities. This was a statement from our president of operations, John Lyons, that we're committed to these kids. We're committed to finding them. We're committed to continue rescuing them despite what's happening in the world. And obviously we're taking, the right precautions to not continue to spread the virus, but something like this is not going to slow us down, and we're going to continue fighting.
Because it's not going to slow the predators down, right? It's not going to slow the guys who are trafficking or wanting to.
They're there to make money.
Yeah, it's incredible. So that's awesome. Yeah, and just we're recording this. It's middle of March when all this stuff is happening. So everybody's kind of what's going to happen next. But it's good that y'all are taking that stance and going about it that way. So you said something earlier that's really. It's really stuck with me. If this is going on in my community, how do I, and I get these guys are pretty slick and they're on top of it, whatnot. But is there something, if I notice, like, what am I supposed to be looking for? And then if I notice something, what am I supposed to do? Because right down the road, there is this freaking hotel that is in the middle of a Class A neighborhood that it shouldn't be there. And I sit here question, and I, of course, me being a real estate investor, I've looked up who owns it, when they bought it, what they bought it for, and I'm like, I'm just like there's something weird. And people who have lived in this area for a long time, they've joked about, hey, that's the sex trafficking hotel. And I'm like, well, let's get the fuck out of here. Let's get out of here. So every time I drive by that, I'm looking to see what's happening. Mm-hmm. Right. The parking lot's usually empty. I don't know. And my point of that whole story is I don't know why that hotel still exists in the area that it does for what the guy bought it for. There's no way in hell he's making money on the books. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So let's throw that aside. That's just me ranting about something I don't like and has caught my attention. Yeah. But if there is something going on in my neighborhood, in my community, what is that I would look for? And then if I notice it, what am I supposed to do with it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, this is the point where it's probably best for me to just point you to some resources, anyone who's curious about that. But on our site, we have a series of training courses that allow individuals to know the signs of trafficking, how to identify them, what to do when you've noticed something. And I always encourage you to reach out to your local law enforcement. We have people call us all the time, I won't say all the time, but sometimes regarding issues like that. And that's what we do because we respect the infrastructure that's in place, in those communities. And law enforcement, again, I don't want to downplay this. They do have the resources to combat things like this. And they have avenues and channels of navigating situations like that. So I would just encourage you to reach out to those folks. I won't necessarily discourage, doing some of the digging that you did, for example, to find out some details. This is kind of a shady situation and I want to know more about that. But,
truth be known, I'm a real estate investor. I was looking at it as an investment opportunity.
Got you. Yeah.
It's in a really good neighborhood. It's in a really good part of town. Yeah. How does this work? And then as I'm looking, I'm starting to ask questions. That's some of the consistent feedback coming to me. Oh, you're talking about the sex trafficking hotels.
Like, got you. Yeah. What? Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's very possible that it is. Well, you said it is possible. Maybe that is where it's coming from. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people ask us, why is it so prevalent? It's 150 billion-dollar industry. It's the fastest
Because the
growing.
money that's involved in it, right?
It's money. And this, this is a sort of glaring analogy, but it's the reality that you can sell an ounce of drugs once. You can sell a child 5-10 times a day for 10 years, and just it's recurring income for them.
It's
And
heart wrenching, by the way.
yeah, it is. It really is. And we have some materials out there that I'm not even going to say it on here because I might cry, honestly, if I say this.
Yeah. I'm sitting here thinking about, we're talking about this, and the reason why we're having the summit, I want people to get excited, but I also want to draw awareness to this. So I'm sitting here thinking about, how do I go from this conversation, which is going to be day one, first 30 minutes, into, all right, guys, let's get pumped up to learn about real estate. So the fact of the matter is, it is really happening. Something is pressed upon me, not as much as it's pressed upon you, because you gave up your for-profit corporate life to come join these guys and do it, which, again, I commend you for that. But yeah, it is a real thing that's happening, right? And we just need to know about it. And hopefully, and I'm kind of wrapping this up here because I just now realized that we are out of time and I've got to get back to work. But you, excuse me, hopefully this gives you an avenue for folks to understand, okay, I can donate, I can contribute, I can rest assured that somebody's not taking advantage of me or my money, that I'm really helping rescue people's lives. And you mentioned your site, it's o.u.r.rescue.org, right?
Yeah, o.u.r.rescue.org. Yeah.
Yep. o.u.r.rescue.org. For some reason, I always stumble when I say Operation Underground Railroad, and I think it's because I don't take my time to say it.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why.
o.u.r. for sure.
Yeah.
That works. Yeah.
So other than donating, other than going to the site and picking up those materials to recognize what's going on in our community and figuring out how to identify the right authorities, how can people get involved more? You mentioned something about lemonade stands and stuff of that nature.
We get that question a lot, and my response is always, you're going to know how you can make a difference and impact more than I can tell you. We do have a few sort of infrastructural things in place. If you go to o.u.r.rescue.org/join the fight, it's the second tab on the website there. You'll see that we host events, that we do fundraisers, things like you guys are doing here at W2 Capitalist is excellent. I mean, we rely on partnerships and good people to help us create awareness and raise funds and resources to save the kids. And another point I want to make on that really quickly is that, we've taken time to set up the right infrastructure to rescue these kids in a safe way and make sure that they get placed in with professionals in aftercare, and they have a bed to sleep on and they have food to eat.
Right.
And we stay with them, by the way. We stay with them all the way through adulthood. We're now funding scholarships and education opportunities for them. They can learn different trades. And so we're really, focusing on the kids and doing everything we can within that realm to make sure that they get put on their healing journey. And the events like this, if you have influence, we do company matching events, and we send speakers out, and we'll talk to your companies, and we'll talk to your groups and your Rotary clubs and your charities. And I mean, that's what we exist for, because it's going to take all of us. I mean, if 100 million people right now in the US band together and say, we're going to do something about this, then we can eradicate sex slavery. But it's going to take all of us. It's going to take all of us.
It's going to take more than that,
because
unfortunately.
Yeah. So that's really the call. I mean, we need resources and we need awareness, but we really need people to take ownership and decide that, I'm going to do something within my realm, with the life I've been given, with the resources I have, to make a difference in a child's life. And that's what we're asking for today.
And hopefully we'll be able to do that, right? I pledged to raise $50,000 for this year. The summit happening, hopefully it's still going to happen. It's the Virtual Real Estate Investing Summit. We were doing it virtual because everything I do is virtual. Almost. You probably don't pick this up, but I am an introvert by nature. I feel very comfortable behind a keyboard and a microphone. But you put me in a crowd, I'm going to be the guy standing in the corner, hoping nobody talks to me. Right. So I appreciate you coming and doing this and talking to me. And I know I didn't know that about the corporate matching, so I learned something today. I'm definitely
Yeah.
gonna, and we have some stuff going on with corporate where we can nominate a charity and whatnot. So I'll bring that up, and then the traveling for speakers, we'll see how this COVID uh, affects everything. And but I may take you up on that pretty soon.
And,
So,
man,
Garry, thank you very much for what you're doing. I really appreciate how you've left for-profit corporate America to come join this fight. And I got to say, because I didn't see your picture until I saw you on LinkedIn, and I was like, and I started scrolling through your experience, and I was like, this guy's not a special. For some reason, I thought everybody at Operation Underground Railroad had to have special ops experience.
oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because all a lot of the media and pictures when it's showing the aftercare, it's usually very heartwarming and welcoming, but everything else is these muscled up big dudes who wear some sort
Yeah.
of uh, some kind of shirt. I mean, they just have this. Hey, this demand. This is going to sound horrible. I'm not going to say that. I was going to say that demand your instant respect, and I'm not saying that you don't, which I know that comes out that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
I think I just totally bombed, totally screwed this whole thing up. But
Yeah, man.
the point I want to make is you don't have to be some special agent, special forces, retired military to get involved, right? You can be an average Joe like me to come and help raise awareness for this. And if you want to take the big leap like Gary's done here, I'm sure there's an opportunity around the corner. So
Yeah.
if that's the case, Garry, how can people get in touch with you if they want to go beyond just the fundraisers and things of that nature? What's the best way for them to connect with you?
Yeah, I'm always on my email. So you can reach me at Garry with 2 R's, GARRY at o.u.r rescue.org. Please do that. And we also have a partnerships at o.u.r rescue.org. If you want to get your company involved, if you have a company and you'd like to, host an event or do something in partnership with o.u.r, please contact us there as well. We're very responsive and very quick to pick up on things like that, because like I said, I mean, that's what we exist for. We exist to raise awareness and about this heinous issue, and to rescue kids and get them the healing that they need. So contact me. If you have any ideas, I'm open to that, and would appreciate the chat and getting to know how you want to help o.u.r.
Awesome. So once again, I appreciate your time doing this. I appreciate your marketing folks. They put together a little video for us that I'm going to queue up after we hang up. But thank you again, and I look forward to chatting with you in the future.
Excellent, man. All the best. Thank you.
Thanks, Garry. Hey, 4 things before you get out of here today. Number 1, thank you for watching. Sincerely appreciate that. It helps with our ratings with YouTube and all that. And along those lines, speaking of helping with ratings, if you could just hit that like button for me, the little thumbs up, and also subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. If you are a subscriber, thank you very much. I appreciate that. We are trying to grow the presence here on YouTube, and this is you liking, subscribing, and commenting helps with that whole algorithm piece. So let us know. It also helps me know what kind of content you're interested in. And in the comment section, if you just list that one gold nugget that you took away from today's episode, that would really help me out and engage. Right, I'll get an alert when you say something about the episode today when you make it in the comment, and I will respond to you right away. And it'll be me. It won't be anybody else. I promise. And also, I can't let you get out of here today. This is point number 3, I think. I can't let you get out here today, but highlighting this affiliate for us, Deal Check, incredible piece of software. Whether you're doing burrs, you're doing fix and flips, you're doing buy and holds, and buy and holds is single family and multifamily. I used it last week to underwrite an 8-unit deal, and I'm going to be using it for any of our properties up to a certain number. Probably after the 50 range, I get my real heavy duty calculator out that I'll use that, but I'm also going to then take that and put it in the Deal Check, because the graphs that and just the amount of data they put into the reports that you can provide banks, Hell, I even sent one to a seller. I was like, here's the number. I know you're probably not going to be happy about it, but here's why I sent it to you, because I'm trying to hit these numbers, and we're currently negotiating on that deal. So we'll see what happens. But we have an affiliate code in the description below. Make sure you use that. If you don't, just go to dealcheck.io from any browser, and you can be able to sign up there. Signing up is free, right? So you can use it. You only start paying for it once you need to start unlocking pieces of software. For what I do with it, I'm a buy and hold guy. So from what I need, it's $5 a month when I use the promo code W2CAP. So make sure, whether you use our affiliate link or not, that you use that promo code, because it's going to give you 25% off either the monthly subscription you sign up for, or the annual. They've got two different options. The annual gives you a little bit better discount anyway. The fourth thing is Operation Underground Railroad. If you've listened to anything that I've been doing for the last year, you know that I highly support this organization. Again, the promo code W2CAP, you can text that to 41404, and you're going to get an immediate response link back to our fundraiser page, so you can see what we're doing for them. But also from there, you can hop over and see what all they're about. Highly recommend you follow these guys on social media and everything like that, because they're just ridding the world of not only human trafficking, but more specifically child sex trafficking, which is the most disgusting thing that I can ever think of, that this goes on. My heart goes out to those kids, and that's why I support them, right? Having 3 of my own, I just can't imagine them being in that environment. I'll give you a bonus. Okay, that was the 4 things, right? So like, follow, subscribe is number 1. 2, deal check was number 2, I think. I'm losing count here. o.u.r was number 3. The 5th, whatever the next number is, the 4th or 5th thing, is my hat has been crooked this entire time, and I'm not going to do anything about it. It's fine. It's okay. All right. On a serious note, let's get to work.